What you guys saying? I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions TV, and I'm here to bring you the player ratings video after that annoying, disappointing defeat to Everton earlier today. Now, before I get into things, if you like today's video, smash that like button, help me get over 1,000 likes, and of course, on the Club Mega Store, there is a 25% discount code off the third official kit. If you guys have always been interested in getting it, now is the perfect time. It's only around for the next 24 hours, so if you guys want to cop it right now. But on that note, for today's video, I'm going to do things a bit differently. I'll start off by reviewing Frank Lampard first, before I start with the rest of the team. Now, I'm going to say it straight, but personally, I thought that this was Lampard's weakest performance as a manager in today's game. I felt like the lineup selection just doesn't work. You know, how many times have I seen that left-hand side struggle when Azpilicueta is playing on the left, and Kurt Zouma just doesn't suit playing down that side where he's not passing on a stronger foot consistently. It doesn't make any sense, and on top of that, you know, both these guys have a right foot. If you want to use a right-footed centre-back, at least have a left-footed left-back beside him. If you have two right-footed players, it just doesn't work as well. But there were more mistakes from Lampard, I thought, when he made his substitutions. You know, I understand why he made them late. During that period in the second half, we did have that momentum there, but I personally felt that we needed a strong reaction for the second half, and to do that, make substitutions to come on in preparation for the second half. I was hoping to see a double sub with Emerson and Hudson-Odoi maybe. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And the last criticism I have was that there wasn't much of a counter plan for when Everton were basically controlling the midfield and controlling those central areas. So for me, I thought it was Lampard's worst performance this season. For that reason, Lampard is going to score a 3 out of 10. Now, I'll continue on with the first team, starting with Kepa in goal. Now, I have to say, for the first two goals, there wasn't too much Kepa could do. I'd expect Everton players to finish in those areas, but for his involvement for that final goal, I'm going to be really harsh with this rating. I was just fed up. I was just really annoyed. How many times is this lack of concentration going to affect us? Time and time again. Incredible sloppy pass to Zouma. It felt completely unnecessary because there were better options down the right hand side. And then when he does mess up, he doesn't rectify the situation. It's not good, and you know, Kepa has these moments of brilliance, but he keeps ruining it because of his lack of concentration. I'm going to be more patient with him. I think there is a player in this guy. He needs more time, but for the calamity at the end, Kepa's getting a straight 3 out of 10. Now, moving to the left back position with Azpilicueta, this was not a game to remember for Azpi. Now, for me personally, I felt like this was his worst performance this season, and that's going to be something you hear me say quite a lot in today's player ratings video. He just doesn't suit playing on the left, and at this point I feel like Lampard's just leaving him out there to roast basically because he'll never do anything. Azpi needs protection around him. In games like this where teams are stopping us playing through the central areas and they force us out wide, well, the quality out wide has to be better, and you know, in a team game where every player has to play an important part to help their other teammates out, Azpi doesn't do anything. He single-handedly kind of ruined the left-hand side. He made Pulisic worse. He made Zouma worse. He made a few of these guys worse as well. It's not getting the best out of him. And I think even though he does have experience, that experience will matter for more important games, the more bigger games against bigger opposition. But today he wasn't good, and Azpi's going to score a 2 out of 10. Now we move on to the centre-backs. I'll start with Kurt Zouma. Kurt, well, it was his worst performance this season. Now, I'll explain the context, even though I know a lot of people don't really care about context when we've lost games. I'm sorry, you have to care because we need to understand why these mistakes happen in the first place. Now, as I stressed, you got two right-footed players playing down the left-hand side. How is that going to work? When do you ever see Zouma and Azpi really passing to each other? It doesn't happen. Now, even though Zouma did have 92% pass completion, he played over 100 passes. Most of those passes were just sideways between Christensen and the fullbacks, and with some of the forward passes he played, well, they kind of varied in quality, even though some balls were quite decent. Now, Zouma did make a lot of blocks and he was quite good aerially, but at the same time, you know, some sloppy individual mistakes, a bit uncharacteristic due to the season he's having right now. But I'm saying it straight, and I don't care if no one agrees with me. If you're playing him down the left-hand side with Azpilicueta, what do you expect? I mean, that situation at the end when he tries to make the clearance, If that was down the opposite flank on the right hand side, Zouma is easily clearing that ball. I'm saying it straight. That's my opinion, but of course that's not going to overrule the final score that Zouma gets, and for today's game, Zouma's going to get a 4.5 out of 10. Now we move on to Andreas Christensen, and his score is going to be a lot harsher compared to Zouma's, and that's because Christensen's playing in a position that he should feel confident in, and a lot of the mistakes he made came down to that lack of physicality. Now I don't understand why this happens. You know, Christensen's quite a big guy. He isn't like a lightweight guy. He weighs like 80 kilograms and he's decent aerially. He did not apply himself physically enough. Sometimes you have to be dirty, sometimes you have to make yourself known, and at times he was making it too easy for Calvert-Lewin. You know, I feel for this guy personally because, you know, with the injuries and, you know, the lack of consistent game time, well, it's clearly taken a toll on his confidence. I think for him to get back to his previous levels, he's going to need a lot of games in succession, but that reality is not going to happen. Christensen's going to get a 4 out of 10. Now to complete the back four with Reece James, and I have to say he was by far our best defender. Now on the left hand side he was up against Iwobi and against Digne, and he was isolated by himself, so that tells you the confidence that Lampard has in his defensive abilities. I like Reece because if guys try to cut inside, he can still stick with them and follow them using his great body strength, and if they try to go on the outside, he can do the same thing. He did really well by himself against Iwobi and against Digne, but of course, you know, his rating's not going to be so high because from the offensive point of view, he wasn't able to bring much. Now, that's not his fault. That's down to the tactics. That's down to us playing mostly down the left-hand side, meaning that Reece couldn't really do what he can and what he can provide to this team, which was a shame. I didn't understand why he got subbed off, but regardless, Reece is going to score a 6.5 out of 10. Now we move on to the midfield, and I'm going to be starting with Kovacic. Now listen, that goal he scored, what a classy, sexy ass goal. I mean, the way he just passed it into the bottom left corner, it was like he brought out his inner Toni Kroos with that style of finish, and it's great to see that Kova is making great strides in his offensive output. He's playing more key passes, he's getting more involved in the final third, and he's trying to bring that goal threat with testing the goal. He had some decent shots today, quite unlucky not to get another one. That's what you want to see. But there were some mistakes today. The dispossessions I just didn't like. You know, to get dispossessed 4 times in your own half, that shouldn't be happening in the role you're playing. I understand why it did, because Everton packed that midfield. They were central, they were deep, they congested things, and naturally Kova and Kante were completely overloaded in these areas. So this game was always going to be even harder for these two due to the tactical nature in which Everton were playing. But of course at times he did overplay when he didn't have to, and for that reason Kova is going to score a 7 out of 10, and he's mostly getting this score because of the goal he scored to make it 2-1 for us. But you guys, I'll move on to Kova's partner in Kante, and as I explained with Kova, Kante was naturally going to struggle due to the tactical nature of the game and how this game was even harder for our midfield players to do anything. Everton stopped the passes into midfield, they blocked off that area. That was why we noticed these guys making a lot of runs to the wide areas, and in the second half in particular, this is where Kante is going to score most of his points, because Kante was providing an extra attacking outlet by those late arrivals inside the box. Now because of them, that was how Kova was able to get the goal, and at times Kante did test even more. Kante though got dispossessed the same amount of times as Kova. This was half our midfield. For that reason, Kante wasn't as good as Kova, and he's going to get a 6 out of 10. Now we move on to the attacking players, and I'll start with Mason Mount. I liked Mason Mount today. I know a lot of people won't like him because with Mason Mount, you know, he's a type of player where you need to understand the tactics and the system. You have to see how he tries to influence things and how he helps his teammates and how he supports. He's one of those types of players, you know, those guys aren't really the most exciting ones, but today in particular, a lot of the good things we did from that left hand side was when Mason was dropping deep in that channel to be the guy to help with the build up. We did not have that with Aspie down that side, and Mason tried to bring that in today's game. You know, he got in some very good positions, had some decent efforts on goal. At times you're hoping his body position would be a bit better, but I think, you know, it's his first season in the Premier League. I can't be too critical because that type of stuff's always in the back of my head. It was a shame that he could not play as close to Tammy as he would have liked due to other players not playing as well. For that reason, Mason is going to score a 6.5 out of 10. Now we move on to Christian Pulisic, and I have to say, with his incredible form recently, this was by far his poorest game. Now, as I was mentioning earlier, Aspie did not make this kid's life any easy. He had no options, he was isolated out wide by himself time and time again. And for those reasons, he lost the ball a lot. His pass completion was like 57% and he got dispossessed 8 times. So that was really terrible. But what can you do? I explained in the match review the tactical reasons why this happened. So if you want to hear that, go and watch that. Today, Pulisic wasn't there. I was hoping at least, try and attract more fouls, try and find your way inside the box a bit more. It was hard for him, but at the same time, it was not his best performance. Pulisic is going to score a 5 out of 10. And he's getting this 5 out of 10 because, listen, even though he found things hard from an offensive point of view, defensively, I did not think he was great today. He was not getting tight or aggressive enough to his man he was marking. He did not come back quickly enough to help Azpilicueta. It wasn't a great day today. We move on to Willian, and with Willian today, he naturally struggled because we weren't really playing down the right hand side as much. It's something we see time and time again. I thought some of his deep progressions on the ball were decent when he was able to find himself in those areas, but at the same time, because this guy just doesn't have a left foot where he can cut inside, it means that in games like this, his influence can be a bit limited. For me though, some of his final passes, his final ball was not consistently great. He did have a decent threat in today's game, but again, it was quite average. Willian is going to score a 6 out of 10. Now to complete things with the first team, I end things with Tammy Abraham. And I'm going to tell you guys, I like how Tammy played today. At times, he was really dominating Michael Keane. He was holding the ball up, he was using his strength well, he was becoming an outlet for the long balls, he was drifting out wide to make runs to hold up the ball to bring people in, and he was very unlucky with some of his efforts on goal. Tammy, and if we just watch Tammy and just look at his off the ball movement, consistently every single game, he finds himself unmarked in the box at least once or twice per game, and time again, it's either getting poor delivery in the box, or what happens to be the most common thing is that people just don't even notice him. It must be so frustrating being Tammy Abraham sometimes. At times, when Pulisic, for example, could have played an easy square past him, completely missed him. It's frustrating. And but with a guy like Tammy up front, he is always in the right areas. If you find him, most times he's going to put the ball in the back of the net. Regardless though, I feel like he can hold his head up a bit high because it was a very professional performance today. Tammy is going to score a 6.5 out of 10. And to end this video, you guys, I'm going to be giving the substitutes an NA rating. Now the reason for this is because, well, when they came on, they weren't really getting the ball fed to them enough. They weren't really in the game as much because the ball was on the opposite side of the pitch, and with the tactics at the end to become a 3-3-4, it made them getting the ball even harder. Mitchell tried to use his ball well, he tried to create opportunities to take shots, but there wasn't enough time. It was the same thing for Hudson-Odoi, and for those reasons, these guys are going to score an NA. On that note, you guys, very disappointing. Very disappointing. I was going to release a news daily video later tonight, but I think because people are probably not going to be too excited to watch any more videos, I'm going to hold that back for tomorrow with tomorrow's Talking Points video. So you guys make sure you stay tuned for that. I'm NiniFC. This is Blue Lions TV. Catch you guys in a bit.